Global warming. You hear that term everywhere, right? It's in the news, it's in politics, it comes up in conversation all the time. But what is actually happening to our planet? What's really driving this change? And maybe the biggest question of all, what can we do about it? Let's break it down. So, this is the big question, isn't it? We can all feel it. The summers seem hotter, the weather feels, well, weird. But why is it happening? Is this just some kind of natural cycle the Earth goes through, or is there something else going on? That's exactly what we're going to unpack. Okay, so first things first. Before we can get into the causes or the solutions, we all need to be on the same page. Let's get a really clear, simple definition of what global warming actually means. Now, a couple of words here are super important: gradual and long-term. This isn't about one crazy heat wave in July or a surprisingly mild winter. Think of it more like the Earth has a low-grade fever that's slowly but steadily creeping up year after year. It's that overall trend, measured all across the globe for decades, that really tells the story. And let's be real about the stakes here. This isn't just some abstract science topic. The source material calls this one of the most serious environmental challenges we face. Why? Because it's a force that is actively reshaping our world, from our oceans to our food supply. All right, so we know what it is, and we know why it matters. That brings us to the detective work. What or who is causing this? Let's take a look at the main culprits. The science points to an increase in what are called greenhouse gases. You've probably heard of carbon dioxide and methane. Now, imagine a sort of invisible blanket wrapped around the Earth. We actually need that blanket. It traps the sun's heat and keeps our planet from being a frozen rock. But the problem is our activities have been making that blanket thicker and thicker, and now it's trapping too much heat. So where are all these extra gases coming from? Well, it pretty much boils down to a few key things. The number one driver, by far, is burning fossil fuels for energy, to power our cars, homes, and factories. But that's not the whole story. Cutting down forests is a huge problem, and so is modern agriculture, which releases powerful gases like methane. And let's just zoom in on those forests for a second, because this part is a real double whammy. Forests act like the planet's lungs. Scientists call them carbon sinks because they naturally breathe in and lock away carbon dioxide. So when we clear huge areas of forest, we're not just taking away trees, we're literally disabling one of the Earth's most important tools for keeping the climate in balance. So the planet is wrapped in a thicker blanket, and it's getting warmer. Okay, but what does that actually mean for us? What does it look like in the real world? Well, it sets off a pretty powerful chain reaction. It really is like a line of dominoes falling over. First, the global temperature ticks up. That extra heat causes massive glaciers and polar ice caps to start melting way faster than they should. All of that meltwater has to go somewhere, so it flows into the ocean and sea levels begin to rise. And the final domino? That puts coastal cities and communities all around the globe at serious risk. And it's not just about more water in the ocean, it's about the health of the ocean itself. All that extra heat is putting marine life under incredible stress. It causes something called coral bleaching, which turns these beautiful, vibrant reefs into what look like underwater graveyards. It messes with fish migration patterns and, big picture, leads to a major drop in all kinds of marine life. And these effects ripple out way beyond the coastline. You have to remember, that extra heat in the atmosphere is basically just raw energy. And when you pump that much energy into our climate system, you get chaos. We see crazier rainfall patterns, leading to terrible droughts in some places and massive floods in others. Storms get stronger, and all of this directly threatens our ability to grow food, which affects everyone. Okay, I know, this can all sound really heavy, really overwhelming, but the story doesn't stop with the problem. And honestly, the most important part of this whole conversation is about the solutions. So how do we begin to fix this? The great news is, we already have a blueprint for what to do. At the top of the list is making a massive switch in how we get our power, moving away from fossil fuels and towards clean, renewable energy like solar and wind. It's also about rebuilding those natural carbon sinks by planting more trees. And it's also about the choices we make every day, using energy more efficiently and finding better, more sustainable ways to farm. But here's the thing. No one person or even one country can do this alone. It's just not possible. Because the climate is one big interconnected system that we all share, a challenge this huge has to have global cooperation. Things like international agreements, the Kyoto Protocol is mentioned in the source material, are so important for making sure every country is pulling in the same direction. So let's step back and pull this all together. What's the big takeaway here? If there is one single thing to remember from all this, it's this right here.
The evidence is clear that human activities are the main reason the planet is warming. But you know what? That's not a message of doom and gloom. It's actually a message of empowerment. Because if our actions are the cause, then our actions can be the solution.
And that really brings us to the final thought. We know what the problem is, we know what causes it, and we have a blueprint for how to fix it. So the question isn't really what can we do anymore. The real question is, what are we going to do? And that's a question for all of us.